Bravo Air Race was released on the PlayStation in 1997, and the game was developed by Zing Entertainment and published by THQ. And this game is a very different take on the racing genre, as instead of racing with cars, you're primarily racing with different types of airplanes or aircrafts, where you race against other opponents on customized tracks. And the game has an arcade feel to it, which is definitely one of its highlights. It's very obscure compared to a lot of other racing games that are out there. There's not many versions of these type of games that are really out there on many systems, so it was unusual to see these type of games starting to crop up on the PlayStation themselves. The game itself did get a sequel called Air Race Championship in 1999, but it only got a release in Japan. The game itself did get mixed to about average reviews, and some of the main reasons behind why it did is because even though the gameplay is fast paced and the controls and the mechanics work quite well, even aside from the graphics, there's a lot of issues in terms of the frame rate and the pop-ups that appear on screen, and it can cause a lot of confusion. And that was the one thing that was stated in magazines, is the fact that in some areas of the tracks you don't really know or can see where you're supposed to go next, especially if you go up too high on the screen. The map pretty much disappears and you're left in oblivion trying to figure out where to go, and then you get stuck in something or in a wall, and then only then when you look at it you realise that you're stuck against a building. So it can be quite frustrating. The tracks themselves are quite narrow to navigate, because not only are you in the air where you're traversing different types of highlights and sky areas, but you do have to go lower down into cliff faces, even through tunnels, and even in like forest environments where you have to dodge trees, and even in city type of environments where you have to go through areas or alleyways and buildings. So there's loads of different obstacles to overcome, but a lot of times that's what does cause the confusion. Is the fact is that the frame rate pop up on the screen sometimes happens that late that you're literally on top of it before it actually shows up, so it can cause you to crash and completely destroy your progress in the race. That was pretty much the main issue that people mainly had with the game. But aside from that issue, what's it like to play overall? From having spent time playing it myself, the game is fun to play. It has a really good arcade presence or feel to it, and even though it won't appeal to everybody, but I do genuinely believe that it will appeal to arcade fanatics, as it does have plenty of solid and fun elements. And the game does consist of a number of different game modes. You have the single player championship, you also have access to a 2-player mode where you can play with your friends, and there's also a time attack mode, so you can strive to complete the courses in the quickest times. Although I will admit, when you're trying to do that, if you can figure out the tracks and understand the frame rates of where you're supposed to go and not get caught out, you might have a chance of doing quite well. But for a beginner coming in, probably not so much. You'll probably get frustrated and turn the game off before you've even really known what's going on. Now, it is one of those games, like I said, that it can be quite frustrating for some, but I definitely think that it does warrant a revisit and another playthrough if you are into arcade racers. It is very different, it is very obscure, but it does have a unique charm about it. If you can overlook some of the gripes and issues beyond the game's capabilities, there is a decent racer here, and for that alone it is worth a look. Plus it's different compared to other mainstream racers out there on the system, so that in itself is worth exploring. And even with the tracks and the environments, there are some really cool features, because you go through different types of terrain, anything from like snowy mountains to like cityscapes and even like rainforests. So aside from some of the issues with the game, there is some really cool areas to explore, although they are quite narrow, so you do need to play it for a while and develop your skill with the game before you can really master each track. But it is worth a go if you are into these type of arcade racers. There is a bit of fun to be had with it. And I'd love to know your thoughts of Bravo Air Race for the PlayStation, if you have played it yourself, and if so, what do you think of it? Do you find it enjoyable? Do you find these type of quirky games to be worthwhile playing, or maybe not so much? Be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of these type of videos where I do explore other unique, quirky and even obscure racing games that were released on the PlayStation 1, where I do share my thoughts and experiences with everyone, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated when future videos are released. And also be sure to check out this playlist on screen, as I do provide reviews and gameplay style videos of other obscure racers that were also released on the system back in the day. So be sure to check them out, and until next time, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.